The greatest mystery in our skies has just gotten a little bit stranger. Harvard's top scientists say that it could be a nuclear-powered alien craft of all things.
Some things in the cosmos are not for us to comprehend. We just discovered that truth painfully. Comet 3 Atlas, a visitor from a far-off star, was expected to be an amazing scientific discovery. However, as it drew near, its real purpose became clear. 4 of our most sophisticated space observatories watched as the object changed to a menacing blood-red color, a shade that challenges astrophysics. This was not a finding, it was an activation. Now, the US Space Force is getting ready for a situation that was just science fiction until last week. A red alert in the void. In the frigid, quiet arena of space, we know certain rules. Comets typically have a faint green or blue glow. Asteroids appear as a flat gray and stars burn with a consistent fire. But appearances can be deceiving. On a day that will surely be recalled in secret circles for years, those very rules were shattered. The tale begins with 3 Atlas. Found just last year, it was formally named the third interstellar object ever found, a traveler from a different solar system, just passing through our cosmic neighborhood. For months it acted just as predicted. It was a dim, blurry object moving at a stunning 100,000 mph, which grew brighter as it approached the sun. Astronomers everywhere were captivated by it, a unique opportunity to analyze a fragment from another star's system. Then the shift occurred. It took place suddenly. The initial indication was from the Spitzer Space Telescope, an observatory viewing the cosmos in infrared. It picked up an abrupt, enormous surge in heat from the comet's nucleus. While this was uncommon, it wasn't unprecedented. Comets are known to break apart and emit trapped gases, but the truly stunning part came after. The James Webb Space Telescope, the mightiest observatory ever constructed, was observing as well. Its data arrived just minutes later, and the researchers were in absolute disbelief. The coma, the hazy atmosphere surrounding the comet, was shifting its color. The usual cyan and green luminescence created when the sun energizes diatomic carbon gas was fading away. It was being substituted by a profound pulsating crimson red. You should know a color like that is a major warning. In astronomy, red can signify many things: the existence of complex organic molecules known as tholins or light that has been stretched from a rapidly moving object. But this was different. The hue was too pristine, too consistent. It felt less like a natural occurrence and more as if a switch had been flicked to ensure it was not a sensor malfunction. Observatories were mobilized. The iconic Hubble Space Telescope was repositioned, its precise vision verifying Webb's findings. Then the retired Kepler telescope in its extended mission was also used to plot the light curve. The outcome was identical across 4 of our finest instruments. 3I Atlas was now a menacing blood-red object, and it was emitting its own light instead of just reflecting sunlight. What's not widely known is that the light was unsteady. It pulsed with an intricate repeating cadence, much like a heartbeat, a pulse that occurred once every 84.6 seconds. This was a signal. The scientific community entered an official state of managed panic. It was not a comet anymore. A comet is just a dirty snowball. This was something totally different disguised as a comet. It had harnessed the sun's power to energize, drop its camouflage, and begin transmitting a signal. The information was instantly flagged and escalated through a command chain extending well beyond NASA. It reached the desks of a select group at Vandenberg Space Force Base, because when an object from a distant star system abruptly activates a massive red pulsing light, it ceases to be a scientific curiosity. It transforms into a national security concern. The Icarus protocol is now in effect. After the data was verified, everything changed. This was no longer a task for university astronomers. This became a mission for military analysts and cryptographers. The United States Space Force, the latest branch of the military, was established for precisely this type of situation, a possible threat originating from beyond our planet. In a matter of hours, a secret task force was established, codenamed Project Icarus. Their sole mission was to determine what 3 Atlas was, what its intentions were, and if it posed a threat. Their initial task was analyzing the pulse. The rhythmic 84.6-second signal was far too precise to be a natural event. Objects in space normally tumble, but this was as steady as a timepiece. Experts from the National Security Agency, the NSA, were called in. They are the most skilled code breakers in the world, but their work usually involves emails and phone communications. Now they were tasked with finding a pattern in the light from a transformed comet hundreds of millions of miles from Earth. They soon realized the pulse was more than a simple on-off signal. Within every pulse of red light were trillions of tinier, quicker fluctuations, a highly complex data stream hidden inside the primary signal. It was akin to discovering an entire library concealed within a single word. The issue was that they lacked any method to decipher it. It was a language composed in a type of physics they were just starting to grasp. While the code breakers were working, the Space Force was directing every available sensor at the object. This involved the Space Surveillance Network, a worldwide system of telescopes and radars built to monitor satellites and space junk. They were attempting to get a clearer view of 3 Atlas. They needed to learn its precise size, form, and material makeup. The first readings were as confusing as the color. The object was roughly 2 miles long, shaped like a lengthy, thin piece of glass. But the radar data was nonsensical. At moments, the object appeared to be fully radar absorbent, like a stealth aircraft. At others, it reflected radar signals back with an unbelievable intensity. The untold story is what the thermal signature revealed. While the external shell glowed red, the object's core stayed at a temperature only 3 degrees above absolute zero. That is 44 degrees F. This is a scientific impossibility. You cannot have something creating so much light and energy on its exterior while its core is almost at the coldest temperature achievable in the universe. It violates the laws of thermodynamics. It was similar to discovering a bonfire that was completely frozen in its center. This one data point was the most frightening of all. It signified that the object was employing a technology totally unknown to us. It was not merely a more developed version of our own technology. It was something entirely different, founded on a separate comprehension of physics. This is the reason the alert was elevated. This wasn't merely an object transmitting a signal. This was an object capable of manipulating energy and matter in ways we could not fathom. The question was no longer simply, what is it saying? It was now, what is it capable of doing? The Pentagon's longest gaze, with global intelligence agencies baffled by the signal, Project Icarus changed its focus from deciphering to defense. The mission was no longer about interpreting the message. It was about preparing for the messenger. The first, most vital question was its path. Where was 3I Atlas headed? Initial projections suggested it would loop around the sun and then be ejected back into deep space, never to be seen again. But this was no longer a predictable piece of rock and ice. This was an object with intelligent guidance, and a thing many people don't know is that even a minor alteration in its course could have massive consequences. Using the collective strength of the planet's largest radio telescopes, the Space Force initiated a continuous 24/7 monitoring effort. They were searching for any evidence of a course change, any slight burst from a thruster that would show the object was steering. For many weeks, nothing happened. It remained on its original cometary trajectory. Some at the Pentagon began to let their guard down. Perhaps this was all just a peculiar natural phenomenon after all. Maybe it was simply a light display. But the seasoned veterans in the USSF understood better. In conflict, you never reveal your plan until necessary. And if this object were a probe or more, It would not act until it was fully prepared. Then it occurred. The change was so minor it was nearly overlooked. The object traveled through Mars's orbit, and in doing so, it didn't slow down as much as predicted. The gravitational pull of Mars should have affected it, tugging at its path by a small but detectable amount. It did not. It seemed as though the gravity of an entire planet had no effect on it. For an object 2 miles in length, this was an astonishing discovery. It indicated 3E Atlas possessed some form of internal propulsion, a method for neutralizing gravity itself. It was actively fighting the pull of the planets. This was the conclusive evidence they needed. This was an artificial object, a vessel, a probe, something with a clear purpose. The atmosphere inside Project Icarus shifted from tense monitoring to grave apprehension. They now faced a technology that could nullify gravity. Our most sophisticated rockets are still merely controlled explosions. We are like cavemen with spears, while this was a phantom that could pass through walls. The alert was discreetly raised. Specialized satellite units were mobilized, assigned to create defensive plans. How can you stop something that gravity cannot affect? How do you guard against a technology that you cannot even start to comprehend? The undisclosed fact is that at this stage, the mission grew. The USSF began investigating not only 3E Atlas, but also events happening here on Earth. Were there any other mysterious signals, any abnormal UAP sightings? They were proceeding under a startling new premise. 3I Atlas might not be acting alone. It could simply be the scout, facing the unknown. For anyone attempting to process this, it might sound like a Hollywood movie, a strange object from a different star, a mysterious signal, a covert military operation. It's simple to write it off, but the reality is, this isn't a matter of belief, it's a matter of data. It's about 4 of our most trusted scientific instruments, all reporting the same unbelievable tale. It's about radar and thermal scans that violate the established laws of physics. We have entered a new era, whether we are prepared for it or not. The path of 3E Atlas is still carrying it toward its closest point to the sun. Afterward, it will journey back into deep space. But nobody in Project Icarus thinks it will depart without incident. Are we overlooking a crucial detail that could account for all this? In a straightforward, natural manner, perhaps. Scientists are frantically searching for one, but as each hour passes, that option appears increasingly remote. We are confronting a realization that is as profoundly humbling as it is frightening. Someone or something dispatched a probe into our solar system, a probe that is well beyond our current technology. It journeyed for what might be thousands or even millions of years, and now that it's arrived, it has activated a light. It has declared its presence. This compels us to ask the ultimate question: why now? If a civilization can build a gravity-resistant, self-lighting probe, they certainly had the means to keep it concealed. They might have passed through our system totally unseen, but they elected not to. They altered the object to a hostile, impossible color. They began transmitting a complex pulsing signal. This was no mere accident. This was a purposeful action. Within Project Icarus, the discussion is no longer about its identity, but its purpose here, and several truly wild hypotheses are now being considered with deadly seriousness. One perspective, the lighthouse theory, proposes the signal isn't even meant for us. In this scenario, 3E Atlas is an ancient warning beacon, and our solar system is about to enter a hazardous area of the galaxy. Or maybe another unseen danger is nearing. The red light is not hostile towards us. It's a galactic warning, a cosmic road closed sign that has just been turned on. We are simply the onlookers who live near the lighthouse. An even darker idea that's getting more attention is the Harbinger theory. This posits the object is an advanced terraforming device or a seed ship. The abrupt energy surge and color shift might be the start of its main function, deploying clouds of microscopic self-copying machines meant to change our atmosphere, oceans, or biology to prepare for a future colonization. The menacing red glow in this instance would be the shade of our planet starting to transform. Then we have the most disturbing theory of them all, the litmus test. Adherents of this notion think the object's makers are observing us this very moment. The whole affair, the comet disguise, the theatrical color shift, the cryptic signal is a meticulously designed psychological experiment. They want to observe our reaction to something far beyond our understanding. Do we meet it with fear and hostility? Is this a first contact scenario or the prelude to something we aren't prepared for? Let us know what you think below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this developing story.